Class 12th, Subject Physics, 10th chapter, Magnetic Fields due to electric current. Magnetic fields due to electric current. From this chapter, let us see the torque on a current loop. That means if a current carrying loop is placed in magnetic field, the torque will act on it. So in order to find the torque, first of all we will have to calculate the forces acting on that rectangular loop, and therefore let us consider ABCD as the rectangular loop which is placed in the magnetic field B such that the sides AB and CD will be perpendicular to the direction of magnetic field, and the sides BC and AD will be parallel to the direction of magnetic field. Now we know that when the length of the conductor is perpendicular to the direction of magnetic field, at that time the maximum force will be acting on that conductor, that is equal to ILB, where I is the current flowing through that conductor, L is the length of the conductor, and B will be the magnetic field. And therefore now current I is passing through this loop, and so that as the two sides AB and CD are perpendicular to the direction of magnetic field, therefore these two sides only will get acted upon by the magnetic forces Fm. Similarly, sides BC and AD of that loop are now parallel to the direction of magnetic field, and therefore theta will be equal to 0, sin theta will be equal to 0, and therefore from that relation F is equal to ILB sin theta, 0 force will be acting on these two sides. Now let us find the direction of these forces, which will be given in this second diagram. Again we have considered A, B, C, D as the rectangular loop which is placed in magnetic field. But in this case, the magnetic field is applied such that the direction of the magnetic field will be perpendicular to the plane of the board and directed outwards. That means it will be directed outwards in the outward direction and perpendicular to the plane of this board or the rectangular loop. Now in this case, the forces will be acting on all the sides because all the four sides of that rectangular loop will be now perpendicular to the direction of magnetic field, and therefore let F1, F2, F3 and F4 be the forces acting on the sides AB, BC, CD and AD of that rectangular loop. Now let us consider first one, this loop CD, this upper side. So the direction of the force will be given by right hand rule, in which the pointing finger indicates direction of current, the middle finger indicates the direction of magnetic field, then the thumb will indicate direction of force, and therefore now this pointing finger will be stretched in the direction of current, the middle finger will be directed in the direction of magnetic field. At that time the thumb will indicate direction of force, and therefore on that side CD the force acting F3 will be in the upward direction. In the similar manner for this side AB, now the direction of current is reverse, the direction of magnetic field is the same, and therefore force acting will be directed in the downward direction. Similarly, consider the next case, that is AD, side AD. For that side AD, the current is flowing in the downward direction from D to A. Then magnetic field will be directed in the same direction, that is in the outward direction. Now in this case the thumb will indicate direction of force, that is towards left, that force F4 will be denoted. Similarly for this side BC, the direction of current is reverse as compared with this AD, and therefore the magnetic field is again acting in the same direction, hence force will be directed towards right, that is F2. So in this way the direction of the forces will be given by right hand rule, if you consider the current carrying conductors. Now let us consider the same rectangular loop is now placed in the magnetic field such that in this case the direction of magnetic field is from left to right. When that coil is now placed like this, so that its vertical edges will be perpendicular to the direction of magnetic field and the horizontal sides will be parallel to the direction of magnetic field. And therefore in this case, if you consider A, B, C, D as the rectangular loop, and when that rectangular loop is placed vertical, at that time the sides AB and CD will be parallel to the direction of magnetic field, and the sides BC and side AD will be perpendicular to the direction of magnetic field, and hence the force acting on the parallel sides, that is AB and CD, will be equal to 0, but the sides BC and side AD will be acted upon by the forces. And therefore if you consider this situation, now in this case the coil is rotated through some angle theta. That means initially that coil will be placed in the vertical plane. Now when the forces are acting on it due to the currents flowing through it, therefore this coil will get rotated like this. It will get rotated. The rotation is shown in the figure. At that time, what are the different forces acting on it and what will be the torque, that we will have to find. And therefore here we can say that the forces acting on the sides AB and CD, that is the sides which are parallel to the direction of magnetic field, will be F1 equal to F3, that will be equal to IL2B sin theta, but here theta will be equal to 0, sin theta will be 0, and therefore forces F1 and F3 will be equal to 0 since the length of the conductors or the sides of that rectangular loop is parallel to the direction of magnetic field. Now let us consider the forces acting on the remaining sides BC and AD. So the forces acting on the sides BC and AD, which are perpendicular to the direction of magnetic field, that will be given as F2 equal to F4 will be equal to IL1B sin theta. Here there is deflection of the coil through angle theta, and therefore we have taken here theta in the displaced position. Now as these two forces are acting here, that is F2 and F4 are now acting on two different sides, vertical sides of that loop, therefore it will give rise to the torque, because when two equal and opposite forces are acting at two different points of the same body, then it will rotate that body. That means it will give rise to torque. And we know the expression for torque, that is torque is equal to product of the magnitude of one of the forces and the perpendicular distance between two forces. Now in this case that coil is rotated, so initially that coil will be like this, then it is rotated, that means along its central axis, about its geometric axis, that coil will get rotated. And therefore if you consider like this coil, then when it is deflected, when it is rotated, at that time it will rotate about this axis, and therefore if one force is acting here, another force will be here, one force is acting here, another force will be here. That means along this axis that coil is rotating, and therefore the moment arm, that is perpendicular distance between two forces, for each force F2 as well as F4 will be given as, this will be L2, this is L2, and when it is displaced, when it is rotated through angle theta, at that time that moment arm will be equal to half of L2 sin theta. half L2 sin theta. So this moment arm will be half L2 sin theta. Similarly, this will be also half L2 sin theta. And therefore, these two forces, that is F2 and this F4, will give rise to torque. And therefore, that torque will be given as, this will be torque due to F2 plus torque due to F4, and therefore that will be equal to I L1B half L2 sin theta. In this case, I L1B sin theta, that will be the force, and half L2, that will give us the moment arm. Similarly, in the second case, it will be I L1B half L2 sin theta. So ILB, that will be the force, and this will be the moment arm. And therefore, adding these two, we will get half plus half, that will be equal to 1, and therefore we will get I L1 L2 sin theta, that will be the net torque acting on that current carrying loop. So torque is equal to I L1 L2 sin theta. Now if the current in that coil or that loop is having n turns, if that current carrying loop or current carrying frame rectangular loop is having n turns, that means if this rectangular loop is having n number of turns, instead of a single turn, it is having n number of turns, at that time the total torque will be equal to n into I L1 L2 B sin theta. So for single turn, it will be I L1 L2 B sin theta. For n turns, it will be Ni L1 L2 B sin theta. Now NIA will be written in bracket NIA into B sin theta. Now this A will be in place of L1 L2, as L1 is the vertical length, L2 is the horizontal length. So product of L1 and L2, that will be the area of that rectangular coil, that is A, and that's why L1 L2 is replaced by A, and therefore torque acting will be equal to NIA into B sin theta. So this will be the torque acting on that rectangular loop. Now let us consider the next point, that is moving coil galvanometer. The schematic diagram for this moving coil galvanometer is as shown. So in this case, it will be having different parts, and these parts are, what are these parts? Let us see. So these parts are, here there will be upper suspension, generally made up of phosphor bronze. Then it is connected to a mirror for observing the readings of the galvanometer. Then that suspension fiber from the other end of the mirror will be connected to the moving coil of the galvanometer, moving coil having large number of turns. Then the other end of this coil, through that there will be lower suspension, that is phosphor bronze. Then inside this moving coil there will be a piece of iron which is called as iron core. About that iron core, that coil will rotate. Then this coil will be now placed between two strong pole pieces of the horseshoe magnet, and these are always concave in shape, which will provide the radial magnetic field. So if you consider like this structure of this moving coil galvanometer, then let us see its construction again. Moving coil galvanometer consists of a coil of several turns mounted. So it may be mounted, that coil may be mounted by two ways, either suspended or pivoted. Now in this figure it is suspended. Sometimes it will be pivoted, that is supported in such a way that it can freely rotate about a fixed axis. It can rotate in that magnetic field about a fixed axis in that radial uniform magnetic field. Now a soft iron cylinder core makes the field radial and strong, so that iron core will make that magnetic field radial as well as strong. Then the coil rotates due to the torque acting on it as current flows through it. As current is flowing through the coil, therefore it will be acted upon by the torque, and hence due to that torque there will be deflection of the coil. That coil will get deflected between the two strong pole pieces of the magnet. Now that torque will be given as NIAB. Previously we have seen that torque is equal to NIAB. Here sin theta will be equal to sin 90, that will be equal to 1, and therefore maximum torque will be equal to NIAB. Now when that coil is deflected, when that coil gets rotated, at that time the suspension fiber will get twisted. It will twist, and therefore due to the twisting of this suspension fiber, the restoring torque will be produced in that suspension fiber, and therefore the torque is balanced. That is, the torque produced in that coil will be balanced by the torque due to the suspension, such that a steady angular deflection, suppose phi, of the coil is produced. Then the large current produces large deflection of the coil, and hence torque in the spring or that suspension is also large. Then the restoring torque will be proportional to the deflection of the coil, and therefore we can say that here K phi will be equal to NIAB, because this K phi will be nothing but the restoring torque supplied by the suspension fiber. Now as the coil is steady, therefore we can say that K phi will be equal to NIAB. So in this case this will be the restoring torque produced by the suspension fiber, and this is the torque produced in the coil. Both will be same because that coil is at rest, and therefore from this relation phi equal to NBA upon K into I. As N, B, A and K all factors are constant, therefore we can say that phi will be proportional to I. That is, the deflection of the coil of the galvanometer is directly proportional to current flowing through that coil, which is the working principle of this moving coil galvanometer. Now let us see the next point, that is magnetic dipole moment. Magnetic dipole moment. So in the previous case we have seen that the torque acting is equal to NIAB. So from this NIA term will be replaced by mu, that is the magnetic dipole moment, and therefore we can write mu equal to NIA, mu equal to NIA, and therefore that torque will be equal to mu b sin theta. This torque will be given as mu b sin theta, and therefore that torque will be equal to, this is the cross product of mu and b, and therefore torque equal to mu cross b. It will be similar to that of the torque in case of electric field, that is torque equal to P cross E, where P is the electric dipole moment and E is the electric field. So in this way the torque in case of magnetic field as well as electric field will be similar.